I'm Lester Holt.
Howdy, Holt Heads. Kurt Money here, alongside my co-host,
Kateline.
And we are here to discuss a brand new Dateline that was also hosted again by AC. I'm going to read the IMDb. When 38-year-old West Virginia pharmacist Michael Cochran, he's not a pharmacist, his wife was. Was he a pharmacist?
No, he was not.
No. I cut out half this because it gave everything away. Forget it. The devil's in the details, and the details here are that Michael Cochran died from a mysterious head bump. Was it his wife? His grieving wife? Well, who knows, man? Did that nail it?
I think, is it possible to say that this is the worst episode that we have had in a very long time?
God. Upon first watch, I would agree with you 1,000%. As I wrote down the deets watching it again, there's a lot of list stuff. And there's some interesting things. So Kate, what'd you think of this app? Stink?
Yeah, but mostly because it just felt like it could have been a shorty. They were really doing anything they could to stretch this to an hour and a half.
Yeah. Did you think that AC was Murph dogging it up again?
Yes.
I knew it.
She was. I felt like watching that. I thought, oh, those angry men are going to come for her on Reddit. Because she was interrupting. She was trying to pull emotions out of people. She was saying a lot of like, oh, that must have been so scary and awful. Oh my God.
Even quicker than calling 911. I'm going to take him to the hospital now.
And they hate when she does that. I don't care. It's just...
I don't either, because to my eyes, I'm seeing that as a editing flaw. Like, it's not like she's interrupting people to say stuff like that. She says stuff like that because she's trying to pull interesting stories out of people. Mm-hmm. She's a professional. I mean, can't we give her that? Like,
yes, all those moments were left in because they needed more time.
Oh my God.
They needed runtime, so they left every moment of her being like, oh my God, tell me more about that. That's so crazy. How did you handle that? Oh my God, typically, they would just go boom, boom, boom.
You're right, dude. And I have a something that backs up that theory is I have a thing that we're going to talk about later in AYB. I'm not going to tell you what it stands for yet. It was a part where I was like, why is this in the edit? It did not need to be. Okay, so there's a little tease. All right, first we hear about Natalie and Michael Cochran. They've got a, quote, storybook relationship, and, quote, this is what movies are made of. So far I'm going, ooh la la. Mm-hmm. Like, I'm listing it up big time. February 6, 2019, Natalie calls friends to say that Michael had a seizure and hit his head, and please come help. And now the friends are thinking, what, help him get in the car or take him to the hospital? No. Natalie says, just help me get him to the couch. That's all we need. He'll sleep it off.
She says that this has happened before. That when he's had these seizures, he just needs to sleep it off, and this isn't something to worry about, but she can't lift him because he's so heavy, such a muscly man. She needs everyone to come help get him to the sofa. And immediately I'm thinking, no. Nope.
Well, I was also thinking no, but the friends came over, they were talking about how he was snoring. I would be fooled by that too, I think.
He's not responding, but he's snoring.
Yeah, like, I don't really know what is going on.
To me, I'm like, oh, well, that's a sign that he's fine. But I guess because he couldn't wake him at all.
But he did the right thing where he's like, I still don't care, we're taking him to the hospital, right? Because dude went the whole day on this couch unresponsive. And Natalie's still like, he's fine. Let him go.
Mm-hmm.
She said, well, no, I'm just going to let him sleep it off right now.
So they take him to the hospital. 10 minutes later, this dude's on a ventilator, so it's not looking good. Okay, so we meet Chris and Jennifer Davis, who are close friends with the victim and the victim's wife. What'd you think of these two? What'd you think of Chris?
Now, Kurt.
What's up, dog?
Now, why do you think Chris thought it was okay to wear, like, a Caraway Golf zip-up athleisure jacket in a Dateline interview?
We've seen people go cash on it. I don't know. Maybe that's his nice one, right? Maybe this is like the nice pullover he wears.
I mean, it probably was very expensive, but
yeah.
One, you don't wear white. We all know. I think they tell you not to, because the camera has a hard time with that. Two, put on a shirt. Put on a shirt and tie. What are we doing?
Yeah.
And he's a good-looking guy. They have money. Why is he... I'm surprised they let him wear it with a logo on it, too. Like, if it had been Nike or something, they would have had to blur it out.
Yeah. I'm surprised they didn't do that here.
Maybe NBC and Caraway have some kind of, like, collab where NBC Sports is airing all the golf tournaments or something.
Masters was on NBC, wasn't it?
Boom.
Is that why? Were the Masters on NBC?
Boom.
Boom. All right, sweet. Not sweet. Booms rescinded. Future Kurt here to let Kateline know that it's called Callaway, not Caraway. So you wrong. Boom. And current Kurt, the Masters aired on CBS and ESPN Plus, not anything to do with NBC. So you also wrong. Back to it. Also, he's a coach too, right? Maybe he like wears it. He's like, I'm a coach every day of my life.
Straight men love to wear that athletic gear. They love it. I don't get it.
You're not here for it.
No.
Nope. Kay says it's not working. It's not dressy enough. Nice try. Go back to the closet. Okay, here we go. Well, we're already to the AYB. We're talking to Chris and Jennifer, and we're talking about how Chris and Michael, the victim, they coached a Little League team together. Like they hit it off because they both wanted to win. So there's this part where he's just saying that, like we bonded over the desire to win. Now, Chris gets that point across.
We usually had the same focus and desires for the outcomes of the sporting events we were at.
They cut to a different angle, and he says the words wanted to win. Did you hear what fell in the background? Did you hear this?
Yeah, we wanted to win. And
I definitely heard a lot of noise. Later in that interview, there was more noise. I thought maybe it was a dog or something.
It's clearly, to me, it's somebody, it's a crew member dropped something. That's the only thing it could be in my eyes. And I cannot believe they didn't cut around it, Kate. Why in the world would they leave this in?
We wanted to win.
So that's why this segment is called AYB, A-Roll, you busted.
Audio, you busted.
Oi! Also an A! Boom,
I mean,
boom, boom.
They probably left it in because they couldn't cut anything out because of time.
Busted. That's the only excuse I'm going to buy because it's not like story-wise they had to get that point across. He already said they like to win. They already did it.
Yeah. And again, it wasn't just that one time. There was noise happening. Whatever that crew member dropped, he also had to make noise to then pick it up again because it kept going for a little while. And I'm saying he because,
It's probably a dude, you think?
It was a dude.
You think it was a dude flubbing?
It was like some chubby audio guy backed by a craft service.
I see that. And it's at this point where we learn about the business that Michael and Natalie had together. In 2017, they started a business called Tactical Solutions Group. Now, what did they do? Was it like bringing food to the poor, finding clothing for
Kurt,
the needy? Or what was their business, Kate?
It was doing something that historically we've always really needed more people to do, and that is to sell artillery to our armed forces.
Selling guns to the government.
So they're just gun runners. They were inspired to do this because they watched a movie about gun runners. And they were like,
how dare you bring that up?
War dogs.
Yeah, we're not there yet, dog.
Listen, we're talking about their business, and they straight up said at the beginning they started this business because they watched a movie.
I don't know where they got the idea. I know that they'd referenced the movie War Dogs, which dealt with government contracting.
So, they're in the middle of nowhere, West Virginia. But I guess this is as good as any of a place to start a business like this, where you sell guns to the government. I don't get it. What
I don't either.
The hell are they doing?
That's what I want to know, and that was a cloud hanging over this whole episode, is I'm going like, I don't understand. I feel like to sell guns, you got to own a lot of guns first.
And they didn't own any.
And the whole thing was, they would bid on contracts because, like you're saying, War Dogs, that was the premise. They play a little clip and everything. I mean, NBC dropped the dough for it. But like you can make bids on contracts that are public information, and the government will pick one. So they would win these and then supposedly supply the guns. But I'm going, you feel like you got to own guns first.
You have to get the guns. Look, I would imagine manufacturers of these weapons aren't the ones bidding on these contracts. There's definitely a middle person, a third party,
right,
because that's just how business works. But don't they have to have a relationship with the manufacturers to get bulk orders and then sell them at a markup to the government and then get some kind of like government kickback? But they don't. They don't have anything.
Yeah. What's weird is they have something because money's rolling in because they're getting like investors and stuff. And dude, Michael is so proud of this. He literally puts on his license plate Gun Runner, right? Like he buys this obnoxious, what kind of car was it? Cargate. Toot.
What kind of car was it?
It looked like some like super old convertible, like old-timey Aston Martin, where like the car dips down where you get in and stuff.
Well, James Bond is a DB5.
Not specifically, because I know James Bond doesn't drive a convertible, but I just mean like Connery Bond fancy car style.
You know, Car Kate must have fell asleep just like Kateline fell asleep. Because I know that he had that license plate. I don't recall the car.
And just like the characters in War Dogs, Michael bought a sports car with custom plates.
It said gun runner.
I mean, business is going so well for these two that they involve their friends and family, and their friends and family can't wait to give them money. We're talking $500,000, $250,000. They get all these investments because that money's rolling. And then the tide turns come January 2019 when, I feel so bad for this poor girl. Natalie Cochran comes down with leukemia. She has cancer.
Comes down with it. It's a good way to put it.
She let all her friends know, said, listen, I got leukemia. I'm going to have to be doing like triple chemo trips 3 times a day. It's going to suck to be me, but I have my friends behind me, and I love you for it. Mm-hmm. That's what Natalie said. So
and
that sucks, man.
I knew. As soon as they said this, I was like, well, I know she's faking it.
Yes,
because
exactly.
That doesn't sound right. The way she said it, she had no real symptoms leading up to it. And then saying she had to do like the triple chemo and radiation at the same time. I was like, I don't know.
She said that she would have a triple chemotherapy treatment and a triple radiation treatment all at the same time, at the same day.
I mean, like, you know who did the thing in this? And they really played this like a late in the game drum bop. Mm-hmm. They didn't tell the audience that she was faking it until the trial. That's like the last 20. I mean, I knew right then and there. It's like, well, clearly. Yeah. I mean, she doesn't have it. She doesn't have it. But then it's like a few weeks later in February when Michael, he feels sick that day. He's laying down, taking a nap. And then he runs to the kitchen and vomits. And that's when he falls and hits his head. And this is when Natalie takes a picture of it and sends it to all her friends. It's like, help me carry this to the couch, right? We see it later at the trial. That picture of him passed out.
Mm-hmm. She sent this picture to a whole bunch of people.
So it's not looking good for Michael. I mean, dude only makes it like 5 days. He gets moved to a hospice. But the parents had hope because they did what they called a sternal rub. Did you know this move? He's like in a coma, and if you ball up your fist and press on the chest, it makes you like stand up and open your eyes.
But it kind of sounds like that's an involuntary response, that anybody would do that even if they were conscious or not.
Yeah, because
it's like a reflex.
It doesn't get him out of it. So like when the parents were watching this happen, when he opened his eyes, they were probably like, Michael, welcome back. And the doctor was like, no, see, I just do this.
Yeah.
I'm with you. It's kind of like, this seems misleading. But they transfer him to a hospice, and Natalie is willing to talk to anybody who wants to hear it. I'm going to have a really tough decision to make.
I'm going to have to pull that plug.
And then it was kind of like, I got to make a decision. I'm like, what are you talking about?
Like whether he lives or dies?
Yeah. Like we're going to have to pull him off the vent.
Doctors are baffled because this dude dies, and they know that he had extremely low blood sugar, which could potentially cause brain swelling, and that's what killed him. But it's still a mystery of how it happened, so much so that the first ME says natural causes. So we're leaving it at that. This was natural causes. Bummer, dude. You had low blood sugar. Sorry about it.
And they bury him.
2 months after Michael dies, Natalie's got great news. Remember that awful cancer I told you about in Jan? Guess what? Remission, y'all.
Cancer-free.
Cancer-free.
Were you so happy for her?
I was like, oh my gosh, that is awesome.
Definite bullshit. So now she's pumped. But she doesn't want to forget the memory of her husband, Michael, so she sets up a scholarship in his name for like young athletes and stuff. She's doing all the right stuff. But meanwhile, Chris and the family friends and family members are going like, okay, we invested $511,000.
Where's our return?
Yeah, when's the return going to happen, Natalie? But they're afraid to ask it, right? They're afraid because they have a really funny saying about dog ate my homework and stuff.
Right.
Anyway, maybe I'll say it from my list.
I don't care how much money I have. I'm not investing $500,000 in anything any of my knucklehead friends are doing.
Hell no.
It's bad.
This doesn't...
And I don't know if that's just like West Virginia, maybe there's not a lot of like investment opportunity for like local businesses. So they're like, hey, our friends got this thing. But I'm not doing that. I mean, granted, I don't have $500,000 and I never will. But if I want to help out my friends, I'm going to treat them to a nice vacation, buy them dinners, give them good gifts, make them feel loved. As soon as you introduce any kind of investing, it's just grounds for disaster. Even if it ends up being successfm stuff, when it comes to money, it always gets messy.
No, that's true. I would never invest anything with anybody ever. It doesn't matter if it's a sure thing, home run, whatever. I don't care. There's no way it ends positively, no matter what.
Nope.
Even the best way it ends is you guys don't talk anymore because it was massively successful and one of you feels like you deserve more credit than the other. That's the best way it ends.
Yep.
Okay, so but they're like thinking, Natalie, like, where's this money? And now it's time for another segment. We haven't done this segment in a long time, Kate. I think this might be a two sides of the same sentence. Do you remember this? Remember this with AC? Because she goes, this is kind of like a backwards one, but the cops, they're not super fishy about the death yet. They're just investigating the business side of this because they too have questions of, well, where's all this money going, right?
Yeah, the feds are onto them.
Yeah, and this is when they talk to Bledsoe, Lieutenant Bledsoe, and AC goes,
was it kind of like untangling a bunch of yarn at that point?
It's the same as pulling on a ball of string. You just keep pulling and it just keeps unraveling.
They're the reverse action, but they're saying the same thing, but do you know what I mean? It was a weird moment.
What was AC's face? Like, bitch, I just said that.
I mean, that's what I was doing. But do you know what I mean? How it's the reverse? It's like the ball of yarn is already undone in AC's metaphor. She's talking about untangling a ball. And he's like, okay, or a ball of yarn that's already wound up. And then you just keep pulling and it's more. I just like,
which
I don't know. I was happy to see this segment.
Even physically possible.
No. So a few of we talked to another friend who's a state trooper. We talked to him and his wife, and they get a check for $10,000. And they're pumped, like, okay, finally a little money back. It's not the amount that they put in, but it's something. And what happens when they cash that check?
Well, it bounced, Kurt.
Darn it. Natalie was bumming. Shoot, man. She did not see that coming. So that check bounces. And this even happens to Michael's parents. Okay? We got to talk about these parents.
We have to.
I'm going to let you tiptoe into this. I don't think you had crazy eyes, but there was something with these eyes. Were they attractive eyes in this family? What were you thinking with Michael's peepers?
Well, it was interesting because we saw lots of pictures of him from the past and only a few from around the time when he died. And later, towards the end, he was a very good-looking guy, a traditionally handsome, good-looking guy. He was in the gym all the time, cared a lot about his appearance.
Absolutely.
But then you'd see pictures of him from earlier in his life, and I don't know that I would describe him that same way. There was something a little off about the eyes.
I was like, wow, this guy's got interesting eyes. And it wasn't, again, they look bad. Like, there's something about them. And then I meet the parents. They could almost be bro and sis. They could be brother and sister here because they both have the same kind of crazy eye look, didn't they?
Do you think there's some West Virginia inbred stuff happening?
No. No.
This is wrong.
The dad was cracking me up because he didn't have a whole lot to say. He would just repeat back what anyone said to him in a very funny southern drawl.
Yeah, there were some fun-ass accents in here, weren't there? A few people had super thick accents, including the Chris guy. His was pretty thick.
It was, which is interesting because it's West Virginia. We're not talking about Alabama.
Right. Well, when I lived down there, I was shocked at how much the South is. The South is not just, I feel like it's the states in the middle is also called the South.
It's like that David Cross bit where that accent can be in any state in the country, just far enough outside of the city.
Oh.
It's just the redneck accent. His bit where he's like, I'm from Juneau, Alaska. This how we talk. What's up? I'm from Bozeman, Montana. This how we talk. Doesn't matter. No matter where you're from.
Hey, man, I don't know what y'all talking about, but I'm from motherfucking Statesboro, Georgia, man. This is how we talk. Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Well, f*** you, man. I'm from Bakersfield, California, man.
This is when the cops find out that, they're investigating this massive fraud. Like, they're like, what's going on with this? Where's all the... Because the biggest, or the total amount that they took to be invested was like $2.8 million. So this is why the feds are involved. Like, this is big money stuff. Turns out they're not the only investigators. Because also, Natalie is being investigated by the Little League. This was kind of
the treasurer for the Little League. And
ripping off a Little League.
She was skimming off the top. This girl was using the Little League credit card to do her TJ Maxx runs, which is pretty small potatoes, but it just speaks to her personality as a whole. It's like, if she's given any kind of money, regardless of if she earned it, it's like, well, I have it, I'm going to spend it.
Yeah, and they named some specific things. They were like the very not Little League items, like Olive Garden and TJ Maxx and stuff. And she would have cash withdrawals in thousands. Like, that was also crazy.
The money was being spent on different personal stuff that appeared to be stuff that had nothing to do with baseball. TJ Maxx, Olive Garden.
But I love the shout out to Olive Garden. And I'm thinking, well, what if the team won, took him out? That's what I would tell her to tell the courts.
Could
but
be.
She was apparently, it was supposed to be 10 grand in there, and there was $37. My God. Okay, so just keep that in mind, that they have a PI that's investigating just for this Little League. And we actually see footage because he finds out that Natalie is having a garage sale, and they put up like a secret camera where he goes in and talks to her. Now, spoilers, they don't find shit, right? I mean, like, it comes to absolutely nothing. But what did you think of this garage secret cam?
Well, we see her in there, and she's mostly giving away Michael's stuff. And she says, and looks pretty upset, talks about how her husband passed away, and she gave the things that were most important to their kids or family members or friends, but the rest of it she just needed to get rid of. But as soon as this investigator would ask a question and then kind of turn away, her face would go from politely smiling to big eye rolls and being like, shut up, dude. Because she didn't know there was a camera on her.
Her face was doing something, absolutely. Now, I don't know if that's what a guilty person does when she's murdered someone. That could also be a face I would make, because I don't like being at a garage sale talking to these yahoos, asking me about the price of these, like, USB cables. Mm-hmm. Right? They were $2 items that he was asking about.
Yeah.
She looks like it's killing her to talk to him and makes these faces. And it's just very strange.
Did you hold that against her?
No.
She definitely makes a face. But...
She definitely murdered her husband, but no.
Yeah.
I felt like I would have made a similar face because she's like, they're $2. Buy them or don't. But like, what are we doing?
Yeah. Asking way too many questions about $2 cables. Like, yeah, that's what I was feeling. I was like, buy one of these dolls for $20 at least.
Nobody wants those haunted ass dolls.
Nope. Nobody.
I got one right here.
Let's see. Whoa. What's her name?
I don't know.
You never named her? Come on.
She's not mine.
Oh, that's Jillionaires, huh?
Mm-hmm. She's from the 60s. Oh, no. She's
that's
not.
Cool.
She's from the 80s.
Oh, never mind. Kind of cool. Is that for, like, bed decoration?
This was in our living room for my entire life. I have
on
other
like a
ones.
little rocking chair or what?
I got a whole army of creepy dolls right next to me.
Oh, I used to love to sleep with my dolls when I was a little girl.
I'm sorry, I can't do this.
Why?
I feel like I'm in bed with my mother.
June 2019, local, state, and federal cops come in with a search warrant. And this is just for the business stuff, right? Mm-hmm. This is not related to the murder. They're like, this is a Ponzi scheme somehow, and now we have a search warrant and we can look into it.
Yeah.
They look into the data, and this part was wild. I have so many questions, not only for Natalie, but for Michael. Like, we're going to get into it. But they find out that the business started legit. But the problem is, they find out they never once won a bid or anything.
They may have bid, though, just they never won it. And how would they? Why would they? They didn't have any guns.
They don't have... Yeah. And so, like, Chris finds this out, and this was fun, because he's like, you mean you didn't find any, or there weren't any?
Like you couldn't find any, or they don't exist. They never existed.
That's like one giant gut punch.
So at this point in the episode, I'm going, I feel like Michael was also in on this.
Totally. He had to have been.
Are you with me
That's
here?
That's what I was thinking. At this point, I'm like, yeah, there's no way he didn't know because they built it together from the ground up. And was she just going to pretend that they were winning these bids? He was like the salesperson. He would know.
He would find the bids, supposedly, and she was the financial side, but I don't know how these two can coexist without him being in on it, because to get to the point where you're asking your friends to invest, you're buying a car and getting a personalized plate that says gun runner, like, you've got to be in on it. Like, right? Do you think he was getting gun runner license plates when all he was doing was putting a bid in every once in a while? Like, I feel like he knew what they were up to.
He had to have known.
He had to have. I mean, according to this episode, he did not. I don't see how that's possible. That might be the only thing her defense team said that I believe.
They showed
a
text conversation between Michael and Natalie, and it could seem like he didn't know, but it's just a snippet of a conversation.
Yeah, and Dateline, you know how pumped they were when they decided to shoot this scene of Chris looking at the paper details? They got an episode title out of it. They got a tease for 4 commercials out of it. How many times we can hear him say the devil's in the details? This is the devil or whatever.
I mean, the 2 teases up top had it. Both of them.
Yeah. He's looking at like printouts of the financial records of the Tactical Solutions Group.
You know, the saying is devil's in the details. Well, the devil was all in this.
So again, Michael's got to be involved here.
Yeah.
Now, how cold is it that they ask their friends to invest in stuff? That's what I'm having a hard time grasping.
But you know, they didn't really know these friends that well. They met at Little League.
Well, but
it's not like these were childhood friends that they had known their whole lives. These are like new friends that you can kind of see it's a little easier to swindle new friends.
Okay. Yeah, keep talking. That I can see.
I'm very skeptical when people talk about their new close friends and it's like they've known them like a month.
Right.
I've some of my friends I've known for over 30 years.
Yeah. That's true. I didn't think of it that way because all their pictures together, like it is the last 2 years, it seems.
And they probably invested
Little Leaguing.
like in the first year.
Yeah, I bet.
So imagine, I wouldn't give $500,000 to someone I've known for 30 years, and they did it after like a couple months.
Yeah. But, okay, if that's true, they also did it to Michael's parents.
They did.
Justify that for me, because I can't wrap my head around it. I don't know.
Naive boomers.
How f***ing evil is Natalie, dude?
And possibly Michael.
Now, this is where I go, so you think Michael's ripping off his own parents? I could see the parents-in-law, or I could see him doing it to her parents, right? Because sometimes there's no love lost. I can't see Michael doing it to his parents. So that's like 1 point for the column A of like he didn't know anything about it. What do you think?
So where do you stand on that? Do you think he knew?
Well, there are texts the day before he died. Like they chartered a private plane to go to Virginia to talk to the bank. Like, because he's like, why would it take forever? It's a bank within a bank.
He texted her, I don't understand why it's taking so long. It's Bank of America to Bank of America.
There shouldn't be like several weeks of processing. It should be instant.
Yeah.
Which implies he doesn't know there's a scheme.
I'm not sure how to look at this other than he was involved somehow. Because, again, we never saw one gun.
No.
Like, we never saw, let alone cases of them.
We never even saw a picture of any of them holding a gun.
Yeah.
Because...
Yeah, just friends talking about how they thought it was cool.
He thought it was the best thing ever because he was a gun runner. I sell guns to the government.
Exactly. And it's West Virginia. I'm sure they go hunting and fishing and a lot of outdoorsy stuff. We never saw a picture of them even just like holding rifles as men do. Nothing.
Yeah. That's so weird. That's why it's so hard for me to buy that Michael is not involved somehow. It just doesn't seem possible. Like, he's got to be dumb as, well, I'm not gonna say that, but I don't know. It's either he's involved and these are two shady people, or he's not involved and Natalie is just an all-time
con artist.
Shady con artist. I mean, that could be, we've seen stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what if this is just Natalie's grift? I mean, she's literally got a grift going everywhere. Cancer grift, Little League grift, gun grift.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe she's just super evil and she got busted. I mean, that's possible.
Could be.
No, it can't be. They met in high school. They've been together for 20 years.
He's in on it.
He's gotta be. Yeah. Okay. And yeah, I'm with you there. 3 months later, they think they've got enough for a murder and they go back to arrest her. And she's like, you did all this for little old me? Which is something I've heard in there's a Forensic Files where a lady says that. I've heard this before, where like the evil lady behind it all is like, you did all this for me? It's kind of a thing.
Yeah.
And she says, it took all of y'all for little old me.
But the fucking arrest her ass, the profit payouts all bullshit. We found out that not only that, the scholarship was bullshit. The scholarship that was to honor her dead husband was a scheme as well.
None of those poor kids saw a dime.
Wow. This is what I mean, where it's just pure evil. Mm-hmm. Like, she started this after the murder, and she's like, I can't help it.
I call her the evil one. She's evil.
Yeah.
Boy.
Diabolical.
Diabolical.
You know what? Maybe this is like it sounds like I got to watch War Dogs to see if maybe that's what did it. It's after watching War Dogs that they were like, that's when Natalie...
They had the balls to start a business.
It like clicked in Natalie's head of like, oh, it is that easy to scam people. Like, maybe that's what it was.
I have seen that movie and I do like it.
I think I've seen it too. Not in a long time. Not since it came out in a Redbox after theatrical.
A Redbox?
I like both those dudes. Oh, well, I rocked Redbox because I'd be ripping them blues.
Oh.
Good, honey.
So a year later, she pleads guilty to wire fraud, and she gets 11 years. So she's already going to do 11 years for the Ponzi scheme part of this, which is like blows the friends' minds and stuff. And I'm sitting here going, wow, she's super evil. I didn't realize it. They do a raid on their house, and they find insulin in the fridge hidden under M&Ms and chocolate. And she says, oh, this was for my friend's diabetic son. And that mom of that son is like, no, he was on a tube or whatever. Like, she asked for that insulin the morning of the murder.
Yeah.
Because she said she had a cold. Now, AC kind of asked this, but like, can you just get insulin to make you feel better from a cold? Like, is this a thing that happens?
This is very confusing. So, yeah, the friend says, well, that's not insulin that my kid would ever be using. Our kid has a port, so we don't use insulin injected like that.
Yeah.
And on the day of the murder, Natalie had asked if she could borrow insulin.
For her cancer treatments.
For her cancer treatments, because she was feeling sick. But if you didn't have... But this is weird. If the friend doesn't use that kind of insulin, then where is that insulin from?
I think what it was is that this other kid, that mom, they didn't travel with insulin, but they had it for their own use, because she did get this insulin from that mom.
Okay.
But the mom is saying it's bullshit that she has to have it on in case of my son coming over and having an issue, because that's not how it works. That's what she's saying. The only reason why the insulin is in her fridge is because she asked for it specifically. Well, there's no reason for her to have insulin in her fridge for our son.
Right.
Basically.
And the friend is the one who is... Natalie's the pharmacist, though.
Yeah.
So Natalie couldn't get insulin herself as the pharmacist?
That's another thing, like, it just feels shady. Like, this is another thing I wouldn't give my friend. I'd go like, well, go through the channels, dude.
Yeah,
I'm not...
You know doctors...
This is, like, illegal, too.
Or do it illegal, but don't involve me. Go steal it from the pharmacy and then, like, replace it later.
Yeah, and later her defense team is saying, well, why would she leave it in her fridge then? And I would say she doesn't want to remind that friend that she borrowed it and stuff. Like, she doesn't want to draw attention to this insulin bottle, I feel.
But she should have thrown it away.
Yeah, that's true. But, murderers love trophies. And she's like, this is what I did it. This is what I did it with. That's why it's hard to throw out. Okay, so she's in jail for this stuff. November of 2021, she's arrested for murder. And they say arrested for murder, but she's already in jail. So what's that look like, Kate? Do they take her out and take her mugshot again? Like, what happens if you get arrested while you're already arrested?
Maybe. I mean, we see her in the courtroom in the orange jumpsuit, because I don't think if you're already a prisoner, I think you go to court in the jumpsuit.
That's what it is. That's what happens, I bet, where it's like, hey, you get to leave the jail cell to go get arraigned on another thing. So I think that's exactly what it is. So now she's locked up for this, and Bledsoe records a convo with her that I thought was pretty funny. It was nice, clear quality, too. But where she was like, you keep wanting me to say I did it, but I didn't do anything. And he's like, no, I don't want you to say that because I know you did it. And she's like, no, you don't. And he's like, yeah, I do. No, you don't. Yeah, I do.
No, I'm not saying that. I know you did. That's what I'm telling you.
No, you don't.
Yes, I do.
What'd you think of Natalie's vibe? Like, we were on her from the jump. Were you always side-eyeing her? Like,
I was skeptical from the jump, yeah. Even when they started to, during the trial, go into more of Michael's background and the supplements that he was taking and his overall health, no matter what they said about Michael, it still didn't outweigh all the shadiness from Natalie. So they could have said, like, he was taking steroids, he was mixing drugs, he was having these seizures, and he was not in good health. And I'm like, yeah, okay, but what about all the stuff she did? To me, any of the drug mixing he was doing was just about those gains in the gym.
Yeah, and steroids are illegal in sports and stuff. I'm not sure, they're not necessarily illegal for general usage. Steroid usage is still common. It's just against the rules in sports. So that's why people think it's illegal.
Cheating.
Yeah, but it's not necessarily, if you're just doing your own thing, I'm not sure it's illegal in that sense. What do you think?
Also, it is often prescribed when you're healing from some kind of illness or injury. So it's not like it's hard to get, even through official channels.
So that's what, at the trial, that's what she says, like, Michael was using insulin for steroid use, which apparently you can do. But we saw the text where she asked her friend, hey, I need this for my cancer treatments, which we now know was a lie.
Mm-hmm.
So what's Natalie's response to that? I think that's why she ultimately didn't take the stand. Because it's like she talked herself into her corner there.
Totally. You're right.
Man.
She did.
Dumb. We're not there yet, but I can't wait to talk about her lawyers. Okay. So this is the first exhumation, right? We have 2 in this episode, do we not? So this is the first one, but unfortunately, that body is too much into decomp. They can't tell anything. And the ME, all he does is change it from natural causes to undetermined. So now the prosecution's looking at like, okay, we've got a murder trial, but not even the ME is calling it a murder. And so that's why after a little bit, they dropped it for the first time because of this.
I was a little confused, though, what they thought they were going to find when they dug up his body, because
I know
they were looking for signs that he had used all these different drugs. But when you bury someone, you embalm them. So there's nothing in your system as a dead body.
Nothing that shed any light on what might have happened to Michael.
Correct.
There was no autopsy, they find out. So there was no, right?
Right.
So that was weird too. That was what they were hiding behind when they're trying to talk to Natalie about it. And we hear a voicemail she left where she was just full on. She had that Karen tone, didn't she? When she was like, yes, I'm just curious when you're going to be done investigating me for murder. It's like, well, now, never.
It's
girl.
been going on for a while, and you keep like asking really personal questions of all of my friends and family, and just like, when is it going to be done?
Yeah.
When we get the evidence against you, Natalie?
Yes, sir. I was just calling to see if you knew when everything surrounding the investigation of me is going to be over.
Oh, that was not. That was such a shot in the foot of like, girl, that did not help you one bit. That did not help you. I'm sure it felt good when you hung up, but that really sunk you. And even the captain, because she goes over Bledsoe's head, right? She calls like the lieutenant's boss, and you can even hear the captain on the phone going, we just want to know how your husband died. Like, what's the big deal?
Yeah, we're just trying to get some basic answers.
I don't understand. They're just trying to determine what actually your husband died from.
And they had a great phrase, calling an alibi. That's what she was doing when she was calling friends over. Calling an alibi, which I think is so true.
Yeah, because she could have called an ambulance. It wasn't a matter of like, help me move the body somewhere. If she was really concerned and not secretly trying to have him die, she would have called an ambulance.
Yeah. There's a point where we talked to, I think it was the prosecutor. This will be aged out. This is definitely an old-timey thing. He didn't say homicide. He said homicide.
Homicide.
They say it like that in old noirs and stuff. It cracks me up.
It cracks me up every time I hear it. It's so weird.
Yeah.
If you don't have the medical examiner saying homicide, you got a big problem.
Weird.
I love it. It's kind of like how they used to say robot instead of robot. Robot. That's another thing.
Now you're going to have to leave that robot behind.
She's not a robot. She's a woman.
Anyway, I loved it. I loved hearing him say that.
What about...
He had a great thing later.
What about Tuvok in Star Trek Voyager when he says sensors?
That's good. Yeah. That kind of makes me think Tuvok's right and we're wrong. Maybe we should be calling it sensors.
Listen, whatever Vulcans say we should do is probably correct.
Yeah, I'm with you there. So now it's a year and a half after the stuff. They're like, we got to drop this case. There's no case. But that's when they find out about this other case in another state with an armed forces ME, where he had cracked the case of 7 people dying at an old folks home. And it turned out that was from insulin poisoning. They had hypoglycemia or whatever, where it's like crazy low blood sugar from the injections. And they had exhumed the bodies and found the needle marks. So that's when they talked to this guy. And this is what they bring to court too, is like when you narrow down what could have killed him, the only option is insulin poisoning.
Right.
Like it's not sepsis. It's not because he's out of shape. Like it's not like it was none of the other stuff. And so now this other ME exhumes his body again, and it's still, guess what? Just as decomped and probably more.
Worse.
And they don't find shit.
Nope. They show no signs of anything being injected.
They dug it up 2 times, and he's like, you couldn't tell anything. There's no tissue and stuff. I'm like, oh.
So this is 3 medical examiners that don't find shit.
Yeah. But this guy, he says, you can take me on the stand because he 100% was murdered by insulin poisoning. So now the prosecution's like, this was cool, right? Because so they press charges again, and this is what gets the ball rolling for the case, like to get the trial started. But because he was not the state's official ME, he was an ME from out of state, they couldn't change the death certificate. But that's okay for him to testify. That's kind of interesting. Isn't that weird? Like they're confident, like he's allowed to testify to go like, I know what that ME said, but like I looked at this body too, and I say it was murder. I don't know. What do you think? Is that cool? Or
I think that's cool, but I don't know what it got them. Because he didn't have any proof. It was just his opinion, but it wasn't an opinion backed by anything.
Well, but it got the trial, and we'll see about the verdict. I mean, it fucking worked, dude.
It did work, but I don't really get how.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, as far as I can tell, they were that confident in this guy. Like, this was like a hero ME. Like, he's hot off another insulin case. I wonder if I feel like I might have seen an episode, could have been a People Investigates or something, like another crime show about the murders at old folks' home.
They did show that murderer, and she kind of seemed familiar.
Yeah. It was like a, what do they call them? Angel of Death. What do they call nurses who kill?
Yeah.
Yeah. It was one lady who was doing exactly this. And they're talking about how insulin is really hard, so we can add it to the list of like succinylcholine of stuff that gets away right away. Because the body metabolizes it way too fast. So you can't even see if the insulin was in there.
Also,
and you've got to be looking for insulin day of.
The body also makes insulin.
I did not know that.
Naturally.
Okay.
It's just replacing it when you don't have enough of it.
Interesting.
So it's hard. Maybe there's a way to tell that it's not made by a person's own body and it's added. It's a naturally occurring thing in the body, so it's got to be even harder.
We're at the trial. They really don't have a lot of concrete evidence, but they do have circumstantial stuff like the fact that she lied about the cancer to get the insulin. She sent this picture to 17 people. Like, I get it. And they're saying that the motive was this Ponzi scheme, and it was all going to blow up in her face that day when they flew to talk to those other people. She even made, this was a good reason that maybe Michael didn't know, is remember she created another person, Betsy Britling.
Mm-hmm.
She created a third person that was like their secretary, where every time they were about to have a meeting with Michael, she'd be like, oh, I got disconnected. She's in a tunnel.
Oh, yeah. Anytime he'd be like, great, can I talk to Betsy? Wouldn't work.
Just lost her. Yeah, that's pretty wild.
Natalie even created a fake government worker named Betsy Britling. She would tell Michael Betsy was on the phone.
Okay, now, this defense attorney, Kate, what a character he was, and I have the perfect mix of two people that he is. Did anything jump out at you? You know what I'm talking about? He had a little accent. He's a big guy with the glasses.
Their case was flimsy. Their case was not about the murder. But bottom line is that they had no why, when, and how.
I mean, look, you might have been snoozing by this time, but he was hilarious. And I wish he was in a better Dateline for you to remember him. Because it's gold. Because he is, one, the Scottish orphan. He's got a little bit of the, Andrea. Got that in him.
Right low blow.
Right low blow, of course.
That's a right low blow.
And also Gru. He had a fucking Gru accent. Straight up.
Oh, he did have a Gru accent. Yeah.
Straight up Gru. I couldn't believe it.
But he did not have a Gru nose.
No, he didn't. Not at all. So you were like, ooh, get out of here, dude.
I know how much you like to laugh.
And I didn't like his dude. He was overreacting about stuff of like, it's just ridiculous. Why would she do this? She'd have to be the dumbest criminal ever. And it's like, well, yeah.
Yeah, she is.
He does the classic defense of, yeah, she's a liar and a cheat, but not a murderer. And I'd go, you think they're not related, but these are all directly related. She did the murder because she didn't want to get caught for the lies, dude. Mm-hmm. You're right. She wouldn't have killed Michael if her lies were not going to be exposed. You might be right. But the fact is, she was going to get exposed. And so she murdered him.
Yeah.
Like it all makes perfect sense.
And wire fraud and money laundering are federal offenses.
Yeah.
I mean, she didn't want to go away, so she murdered her husband.
Was there an insurance claim? I was waiting for that to clean it all up.
You know,
I feel like in her world, that would have paid off her debts.
They didn't talk about it because she didn't move or do anything. No big purchases were made afterwards. She wasn't like doing it. There was no suspicious activity after he died. So I don't know that there was an insurance payout.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. She was playing the other, only suspicious activity was that new scholarship fund that she had created.
Right.
That was it. So the kids take the stand and are on the mom's side. And you remember Judge Money's ruling that you're not allowed to take notes? I sometimes would maybe prefer her taking notes to the way that she was looking at her kids during their testimony.
She was almost...
This is not annoying as hell.
She was looking at them like they were the most beautiful creations, the most beautiful people she had ever seen, her little angels. And she was...
doing like a piano recital.
Totally.
Or something.
Like they were... She was so proud of them. And it was almost like her mouth was moving, like she was mouthing the words as they talked.
Oh,
okay. I'm not suggesting that she fully had them memorize what to say, but she was so on the edge of her seat watching them that it felt like she was mimicking back what they were doing.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, she was smiling, and she even did the heart thing. She's mouthing "I love you" and going like hearts and stuff. That bugged the hell out of me.
Sometimes teary, sometimes smiley. At one point, Natalie made a heart sign with her hands and mouthed to her daughter, "I love you."
Listen, I was just as stoked as this prosecutor to get her up in the stand. But she says, "Judge, let's go back to your chambers for a sec." Actually, you know what? I realized that'd be a huge mistake. I'm not going to testify. It's like, hey, good call, girl. I mean, it's not going to help. You're screwed. But if she would have been on the stand, she'd have been destroyed. Everybody, closing statements, boom, it's time to come up with a verdict. This is where the homicide guy said something friggin' dope. And it was, he's like, either they're going to believe her and set her free, or they're not going to believe her. And he goes, she's a duster. Like, she's done for. He said, she's a duster. And he goes, this is like a chicken or feathers thing. And I'm going, you mean chicken or egg? What do you mean chicken or feathers, bro?
And he said it twice.
Yeah. What's that mean?
He said it in court, and then he said it to AC.
It was one of those chicken or feathers things. Either they didn't believe anything we said and they're going to quit this lady, or she's a duster.
Oh, wow. I missed it in court. So that's not a mistake on his part. That's what he thinks the saying is.
He thinks the saying is chicken or feathers.
Chicken.
So you're talking about a bald chicken? Because it's either a chicken... No, I guess it's a chicken with feathers or just the feathers? What?
Yeah. Like, which one came first? I guess it still works, maybe. I don't know. But it was funny as hell.
Feathers would never come first. They grow after.
Good point. It takes 2 hours. Jury comes back. She's guilty as hell.
Mm-hmm.
Now, this part was very interesting to me. In this state of West Virginia, they've got a mercy phase where she was charged with first-degree murder, but the jury also has to decide if she can be paroled in 15 years or it's life with no parole. What'd you think about this?
I thought it was very interesting that the jury would get to decide that.
As Natalie quietly shed tears, the judge explained to the jury it was up to them to decide her sentence.
Yeah, because sentencing usually comes another day. Like, the judge comes up with it, and he writes, they write like a 10-page paper that he reads to them about how evil they are and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Right? That's how I know it. But this is like same day or whatever. And wouldn't you know it, less than 2 hours for the mercy phase. And what do they say, Kate? No mercy.
No mercy. Life without parole.
Done for.
We, the jury, unanimously do not recommend mercy.
So now she's in prison forever. She's appealing, blah, blah, blah. I mean, again, it's a bummer. The parents of Michael don't get to know his kids because they're pro the mom.
Mm-hmm.
This stuff sucks, man. All right, well, that does it. I mean, now that we've talked about it, there were interesting things in there, right? But it was a shorty stretched to the limit.
It was. I mean, I think it sounds like we really enjoyed it by the way we talked about it, but it was a boring hot mess.
Yeah.
But you know what that means, Kurt? That just means that this podcast is more entertaining than Dateline.
Boom. Take that, Dateline. I'm with that. Here's what we have that Dateline doesn't. Those lists. Hit me.
Kate's unnamed list. Well, there's a military connection. They sell guns to the military.
Yeah. And hey, this ME, right? This ME armed force.
This ME was a military ME. Yeah.
Absolutely. Big time military.
And I guess Car Kate missed the car. But the car...
Wait, if that's... I mean, that's not all that Kateline missed. If you think you're done with your list right now, Doug.
Oh, I do. What else did I miss?
Well, naturally, the one that you always miss. Puzzle!
Yeah.
You missed a puzzle piece.
I probably fell asleep.
Okay? Start putting the puzzle pieces together.
You start putting the puzzle pieces together.
Missed it. That's okay. It's in there. Now, this one, you can deny, but I thought it was so funny that Florida is mentioned because Natalie couldn't shut up about how these pills are from Mexico. And they're like, the furthest we saw those pills getting made was Florida.
Mm-hmm.
She's lying her ass off, right? Like, that's kind of weak to count for your list, but I thought it was a funny moment. That's all I got for yours, that puzzle piece one. Just missed you.
Well, that's all I got, too.
All right. Kick-ass list.
Kick-ass list.
Mine is, I've abused this word before, but guess what, Kate? My list is popping off today. I got a ton. All right?
Go ahead.
First two things, right off the friggin' bat. Storybook relationship.
It looks like a storybook relationship.
This is what movies are made of.
This is what movies are made of.
Yeah. Kurt's kick-ass list. Absolutely. Kurt's kick-ass list. When Chris, the friend, is talking about how he didn't want to bring it up because the lady's husband has died, he goes, dog ate my homework, or the Cookie Monster ate it. What?
Cookie
Do you
Monster.
remember the Cookie Monster?
Cookie Monster only eats cookies. What are you talking about?
Maybe that's why he trailed off, but he straight up said Cookie Monster.
He did.
I was like, what? It's weird, right?
Her excuses wasn't, the dog ate my homework or that, the Cookie Monster. So.
And then you know what else is weird? Is I'm watching stuff on HBO Max, and the tease before it is for that Brett Goldstein special, and he has a bit about friggin' Cookie Monster. So I've just got like Cookie Monster on the mind. Anyway, that's on my list.
Cookie Monster is an addict?
Okay, AC then says, idea straight out of Hollywood. On the list.
It was an idea straight out of Hollywood.
Look, this is up to you. They did talk about how it was a small town, and AC literally said the words small town.
How does this all happen? From a pharmacist in a small town?
What do you think?
But the size of the town had nothing to do with the crime.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. You hear that, AC? You didn't make it for that one. No. Okay. War Dogs. That's a big old Kurt money. That's a Kurt's kick-ass list right there. Talking about a real movie. It inspired the crime.
Yeah.
Okay. And we saw clips and a sound up, so they had to pay some rights for that. That was kind of cool.
Unless it's a Universal movie.
Oh, then they didn't have to pay shit. It probably is just a Universal movie. Forget it. I still like that it's in there. Okay. Okay, this is a new list item. I've heard it so much recently that I'm straight up adding it, okay? Whenever they say smoking gun, and whatever the item is, because they literally call the insulin the smoking gun. And I hear them say that too much now. It's like it's got to be on the list, I feel.
Yeah.
What do you think?
That's good.
This may have just cracked the case.
This could be a quote-unquote smoking gun, so to speak.
Insulin. Love it. Yeah? All right, guess what? Not done. Because this was great. Oh my God. Chris, the dude that got shafted, and the guy who said the devil's in the details, this is the devil. He goes, it moves from a mystery novel to a horror flick. And he said it, horror flick.
Uh-huh.
That was weird as hell. We heard that a few times too.
There was something else that was, emphasis was on the wrong syllable, wasn't there?
I mean, maybe. That one was big to me. I mean, do we include that with the other ones that the hosts do?
Yeah.
Or is that its own thing? You want to include it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right, boom.
It moves from a mystery novel to a horror flick.
That's in there. And then this one's, I don't know. AC said this was a problem child case. Is the movie why she said that? Is the movie Problem Child why she said that?
I'm going to give it to you, yes.
What do you think? You're saying it's in.
It's in.
I'm counting it.
This was a problem child case from the beginning.
Boom. And that's it for my list. Ton of stuff, though. Lot of list stuff. Lot of movie stuff in a few different ways. All right, that's going to do it. Any final thoughts in this episode other than thank God you don't have to watch it ever again?
No.
All right, well, I would encourage Holt Heads to check out our YouTube, ILH, or I'm Lester Holt, where you can see a video version of this, or we're doing other vids that are pretty cool. Or you can join our Patreon, ILH, as in the aisle of a movie store, $2 a month for 2 extra episodes. And our newest episode was pretty cool because we disagreed on something, and it was real head-to-head.
And at first, when I was watching it, I was concerned that I wasn't watching the right one, because I was not feeling any of that.
Okay, but...
But nothing.
What? What are you talking about?
I mean...
What are you talking about?
Yeah, it's crazy, but it's not that crazy. I mean, this might be the first...
And on that note, I'm Kurt Money.
I'm Kateline.
I'm Lester Holt. For all of us, I'm Lester Holt. Good night.
She's not a robot.